Hey guys, this is Camfrey15. I am back at it with another video for you guys, and I am back with some more Superman and Lois on another very good show episode of what we got here, morally building the dynamic as well as, what's going on. I will say this. Thank goodness the Flash and Supergirl and Lois, I mean Superman and Lois, not Supergirl and Lois. Superman and Lois put me in a dang good mood for my night, because if you are subscribed to the channel, you should know I'm a Bears fan and a big avid Bears fan. And I think my fandom has just finally slumped because my team is garbage now. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about my stupid football team. I'm here to talk about Superman and Lois, and what was a pretty good episode tonight. Now, I'm gonna get into the fucking story points of this episode, which were kind of really three kind of main, storylines that kind of somewhat intersected with one of the other ones. So obviously the episode starts off with some high school football. We see Morgan Edge is there. We see General Lane appears, and he sees that Jordan is essentially playing on the football team, and he's shocked that, oh, he's playing football, yada, 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 and stuff like that. And this is when we see, General Lane kind of get in the way of Jonathan and Jordan, of the aspect of, like, obviously saying, like, later on in the episode, listen, don't worry about what your father does, just ignore what, he needs you to do and stuff like that. Essentially being the typical parent or parent-in-law trying to raise the kid the way they raise their son or daughter, even instead of just letting the freaking parents of those kids do their job and stuff like that. So that's the whole thing with General Lane. The whole Morgan Edge type of thing. Essentially what's going on there is, we find out in the episode he's in Smallville to essentially buy and get the rights to this mine in Smallville. And then that's when we see Lois ask Clark, you're one of the more respected people in Smallville. Could you show up to this, town hall meeting and maybe go against this stuff and, explain the reasons why, and obviously, and stuff like that. And we see that Clark doesn't attend it and stuff like that. And things like that. Now, I will say, in terms of the brothers storyline this week, I did like the fact that they're not having much of beef. Like, clearly, you see Jonathan, and what I thought would be happening is you would have Jonathan get essentially kind of a pissed off attitude of the fact of, oh, my brother's being like the superstar and I'm not. And I did like the fact that him and Clark did have a talk about, like, saying, like, listen, I understand, it's new to adjust to a whole thing. And it's kind of the most interesting thing too, is some of these characters adjusting to Smallville. You have Jonathan trying to adjust to Smallville. You have Lois trying to adjust to Smallville. Like, for example, early in the episode, you have like one of Morgan Edge's like secretary people, like, you cannot print the story. Otherwise, we will press charges on you and we will sue you and stuff like that. And essentially, Lois's boss essentially is like, listen, you can't run this story. I'm sorry. We do not have the resources, to go against Morgan Edge. Like, we would be out of business if we got into a lawsuit and everything. So that's the whole thing. Now, the reason why I'm going all over the place is because I didn't take notes. I was eating the time of the episode and I really didn't want to sit down and watch the episode and stuff like that. So, yeah, but other than that, that's kind of the thing going on there. With Lois's whole side plot and everything, with her confronting Morgan Edge and everything and stuff like that. So now the whole Clark thing, this episode really is him trying to balance his life, and essentially because, again, the grandfather, General Lane, finds out that Jordan has powers, and he's like, his stance is, listen, he's like, look, you haven't been showing up in Metropolis. People have been talking about the fact that, oh, there's been no Superman in Metropolis. You're barely in it. The people in Metropolis barely see you flying around. So, you can understand from a general perspective, from an army perspective, like, listen, there's dangers out there. Crime rates are going back up now that you're freaking gone. You moved over to Smallville and stuff like that. And, all these other things that happen and stuff like that. like, why move out here? But at the same time, it's like, you see him be like, see, this is why it's like, you have some, I guess you can say some pettiness, some, hatred, disrespect to Clark the person and stuff like that. That's why he's always told Lois, like, look, you married freaking Superman, not, Clark, Kent and stuff like that. So obviously you have him struggling with that and everything. And it gets to a point where it's like, listen, we have this transfer for this very dangerous, criminal and stuff like that. I need you to be there and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the whole storyline there. Again, going back to the boy storyline, we see in this episode that there was this one kid after they had won the football game. They're hanging out in the one bar area, the one little diner. You have this player, and then this other player who Jonathan is talking to, with a cast and an arm brace and everything because he broke his arm from the incident in the pilot episode. So, he gets in a fight with this other teammate and everything, and Jonathan's just trying to break it up. He's like, listen, move on, move on. We see this kid, as he's trying to take off his cast, his arm starts to fidget and starts to move all fast and, stuff like that. And it looks like he's developing some sort of powers, which seems like could be a result, especially what happens at the end of the episode. So that's the storyline went forward. We see it brought back up again in a team meeting, like a film session for the football team, where Jonathan goes in to go check on him, and essentially you see his arm essentially spazzing out again, and it breaks the cast. Clark hears this and stuff like that, so he goes to check in on what's going on and stuff like that. And that's when, at the same time too, he's getting a call from General Lang about the whole transport thing and stuff like that. And you can see, like, listen, and even at the same time too, even during the Clark getting there as Superman, you have the Lois Lane, town meeting thing about the Morgan Edge, mine proposal thing going on. So you can clearly see that Superman's got like trying to cater to his sons, try to cater to his wife, and at the same time try to be freaking Superman and everything. And it's like, good God. It's like, we always fantasize, man, if superheroes were real and we had these powers and stuff like that, and we were saving the day, this would be fun as shit. But then you really, what I really do like about this series compared to the other Arrowverse shows is they really do dive in the fact here about, like, he's trying to manage his personal life with his family and his wife, and he's trying to have more of a commitment to that than being just the Superman stuff, as well as trying to be Superman at the same time. And you can clearly see, having multiple things and stuff like that and trying to fulfill your family members' expectations can be overbearing for a superhero when they have a family. You got to make sure you're there for your kids. You got to make sure you're there for your wife when she needs you. But at the same time, you got to be there for the city you're protecting to protect the people and make sure, hey, nothing's cutting up and everything. And it's even more difficult when your family knows who you really are and what you're really doing. And, we see a fight later on with, Clark and Lois, of the fact that she kind of, she understands, which I'll go into later. But, he leaves and it's too little too late because essentially the transport guy got busted out by this gang. And eventually that's when we see later on in the episode what happens, then on with them putting him. Now, like I said, what happens is Morgan Edge wins essentially the lawsuit to get the mine, and he has all rights to the mine now. So he essentially controls the mine. That's when we have the argument between Clark and Lois, where Lois, understandably, is kind of upset, but at the same time, she understands, why he wasn't there. And even Clark's like, listen, I had to do Superman stuff. I would have been there. I'm sorry, and stuff like that. And you can see that, Lois, even though, she's very frustrated, she's not like lashing out at Clark like, say, other Arrowverse shows where, if I'm being honest, other Arrowverse shows, you have an argument between two characters, whether it's the love interest of the show, or anything. They always end up in the other Arrow shows getting into a heated verbal argument where they're literally screaming at each other and they're blowing something out of proportion. Here, you have Lois completely just frustrated and done because she's trying to stop Morgan Edge and stuff. But at the same time, she knows, listen, my husband's freaking Superman. But at the same time, I'm freaking tired that I wish he could show up and stuff like that. So she eventually walks out because she goes to catch a drink with Lana Lane, which I almost forgot. Lana Lane, there's a whole, I guess you could say, dinner table, like little meeting discussion with, her family, mostly some people, and then Morgan Edge. And you have Morgan Edge kind of like, hey, your law firm and stuff like that, when did you want to work for me and stuff like that? And I could hook you with a really good job and stuff like that. Which then you see an argument later between Lana Lang and her husband of the fact where Lana's like, yo, this dude was literally making me feel uncomfortable. He was literally pressuring me to do this thing that I clearly don't want to do. And you didn't get in the way to like at least help me stop him. You didn't get in the way and like you didn't tell him like, yo, that's my wife. Back off, my dude. So like that, which is what a responsible husband should do if another guy's intruding into essentially his wife's personal space and your wife looks uncomfortable as shit and looks like she's being threatened and kind of forced to do something that she doesn't want to do. You would think as the husband, a boyfriend, all sorts of things to your significant other, you think that's when you step in and be like, whoa, back up, dude, this is my girl, she's fine for what she is, back off, she's good, leave her alone. And you just walk away and be like, boom. But because the dude's so infatuated with Morgan Edge and he's essentially sucking the what off of Morgan Edge's little, I guess you can say, BS, he doesn't believe what his wife is saying and stuff like that. So she gets pissed, and that's when she invites Lois. They're like, yo, you want to go out to get a drink? And that's when they have a pretty nice conversation about, husbands and stuff like that and having responsibilities and things like that. And you have a nice conversation between the two where Lana essentially goes through a past story telling Lois about, Clark, about how he would just miraculously go and then stuff like that. And that's when she gave a nice speech where she's like, when he came back to Smallville the first time after coming back from Metropolis, he looked different. He seemed different, more confident, more, he was able to stand more like effective and stuff like that. And that's when she's like, I think it must be morally because of you. And I really did like that speech. And stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, cutting back to what was going on with the boys. So eventually they go to a party like most high schoolers end up going to. And we have the whole same issue of the kid with the cast essentially he doesn't have the cast. He's got, no arm off and thing. So essentially we see in the scene that Jordan and Sarah, they're talking. And essentially Sarah makes a mention like, look, your brother doesn't look like he kind of fits in here and stuff like that. Even though he's popular and everything, he doesn't look like he fits in. And Jordan, like a responsible brother's like, before they talk about the whole fact about Jordan playing football. And Jordan's like, this makes me feel good. Like, it makes me feel like I have something to do, which is always good for a kid. Like, he even says like, it hasn't brought up any anxiety, for me and stuff like that, which again, good for a kid. When you have something to take away or something to go to, where you find some solace and some comfort in, where you get some enjoyment, where it can take you away from the outside world, that's good for him. So clearly, Jordan's showing some progression, and even talking about his brother is like, my brother, he's going through a tough time here, yeah, and stuff like that. But knowing my brother, he'll get adjusted eventually, and that's when he'll eventually start to take his shine and everything and stuff like that. So I do like that the brothers, they aren't like butting head brothers, like obviously brothers in the butt heads, but you really can tell between Jordan and Jonathan that these two really do love each other. These guys really are, brothers for life, essentially. And so then they have each other's back and everything. But anyways, what happens is the guy whose arm has been shaking the entire episode, it ends up triggering again, where he ends up breaking like the table, and the same guy that kind of pressured him and bullied him, tried to pick a fight with him earlier in the episode, essentially is like, bruh, you're gonna pay for that or something like that? And it looks like he's about to start a fight. Jonathan tries to break up the fight, but that's when the guy kind of just walks out of there and leaves. The handshaking guy, he leaves, and that's when Jonathan and Jordan show up. They see him and the woods, and he's like, "Bro, get back," and stuff like that. Now Jordan thinks like, "I got powers. It seems like he's got powers. I can take care of this." too bad. He gets knocked away easily. And essentially, the one thing is his hands vibrating so fast, like it's actually like taking things out. And it's looking like it's about to take Jonathan out. And in the meantime, what Clark's doing as Superman is, he's he's getting pinned down by the guy that broke out of the whole transfer thing, but unlike some kind of weapon that's affecting him. Eventually, Clark does a thunderclap because he hears Jonathan in the nick of time hit the whole Superman "I need you" switch, and he's calling out to his dad like, "Dad, Dad, Dad, can you come, please?" And in the nick of time, he manages to get in there, takes the kid like up in the air and stuff like that, and essentially settles down his power. So then the end of the episode essentially ends off with them wondering what happens to him, and essentially General Lane's like, listen, we put him in a special school program so he can control his powers and be fine and dandy and stuff like that. The kids try to get some more information out of him and stuff like that, but he's like, nope, that's classified information. Then he makes an indirect comment to ascend, or the kids make an indirect comment to what he told him early in the episode, and that's when Lois brings up the fact. It's like, wait, who told you to say that? I forgot what they exactly said, but that's when Lois like, who told you to say that? And that's when they look, they're like, and then that's when Clark and Lois look at me like, son of a bitch. Which was freaking funny because it's like the kids look at the ground and be like, look at him. It wasn't my fault. So that's when you have a pretty heated argument between Clark, Lois, and General Lane. And essentially that's when you have General Lane be like, listen, he's giving his side of the story and stuff like that. And that's when Lois, Clark's trying to stand up for himself. He's like, listen, I'm trying to be the best dad I can be. I'm trying to manage being Superman, and I'm trying to manage to be there for my kids. I'm just doing the best I can do. And that's when Lois gets into this whole conversation. She's like, no, Dad, shut the hell up. Clark's doing the best job he can do with what he's doing, and I appreciate him for taking the time to try to, even though he got a big plate as Superman, he's trying to be the father to his kids and be a responsible dad, unlike you, who was always trying to pressure, me to do things and have me not do things that I want to do when I wasn't engaged. And essentially she was saying, listen, me and Clark, we're going to raise our kids how we want to raise them, not how you want to raise them. You're not the parents of our kids. We are. So if you can't get down with that, then you have no business being here. Be the fun grandfather and stuff like that, giving them some nice tips and information and stuff like that, but do not tell, them how to be raised, how they need to act. That's our job, which is a real life situation, is a real life thing, because sometimes, you will have in-laws, especially when it comes from, if you're a man, the wife's side of the family, because, the in-laws could have beef with, the way the man and heck, even the family raises your kids, and they try to implement some strategies. And then it's always the excuse, the in-laws like, yo, I was just trying to teach you some good tips so you guys know and stuff like that, because I've been here, I've done this. And at the same time, it's up to the, obviously you and your significant other to stand up to your your parents and your in-laws and be like, no, we are the parents of our kids. We conceived these kids. We know them better than you guys know them. You raised us, yes, you did. But we want to raise our kids our own way, which is a real life element. Real life element. There's always times where you have families and in-laws and stuff like that get into arguments over how kids should be raised and stuff like that. Heck, geez Louise, my mom freaking has issues with my aunt and my uncle when it comes to raising us and stuff like that. Even though technically that's not their even though technically, we're not my aunts and uncles' kids and stuff like that. So, that it happens with family members all the time of how you should raise your kids and stuff like that. So yeah. Essentially that's when General Lane's like, okay, then I'm guessing I'm not needed here then. And that's when they're like, well, duh. If you're not going to be here, then what the hell you show up? Go back to Metropolis and stuff like that. So we see the episode end off essentially with Clark and Lois having a nice little kind of makeup dinner date and stuff like that. But that's when General Lane calls Lois. He's like, look, I know we just talked and stuff like that, but I need Superman. That's why I called you to make sure, like, are you cool with it? essentially Clark glows off, and they'll resume their little, makeup date at a later time and stuff like that. Now, as he's going to the scene, you see General Lang pull up the one little pen that he got from General Luthor, and essentially, he gets this, sets up the plan, essentially what it looks like to, I guess, go against Superman now, because, yeah, we're totally gonna go against my damn son-in-law, which is only gonna piss off my family even more. So good job. You might as well just say you're gonna cut yourself off from Clark and your daughter and your potential grandchildren now. Good job, General Lang. You're now in the realm of dumbassery. I can't wait for the episode when the entire family finds out that, oh, General Lang turned on their freaking dad and stuff like that, or their dad and their husband. They are going to be here. I know Lois is going to be fucking pissed. So that's going to be another storyline overarching. And then with the Morgan Edge storyline, in the my area, she has the person, the girl, the chick that essentially ended the one dude's life last week, which I don't know her name, but I did see that she's like a Kryptonian type of thing. It's a way like evil Supergirl or something like that, from what I've heard. She essentially punches into this thing, and you just see this whole like little tiny cavern of this different colored kryptonite. It didn't look green, it looked yellow to me. So I wonder, is this how they're giving people these damn powers or some shit like that? So Morgan Edge is doing his Morgan Edge shady things and stuff like that. So yeah, next week will be the last episode of Superman and Lois till the summertime, because again, if you did not watch my Superman and Lois review last week, this week I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say next week that Superman and Lois is going to be gone till the summertime, because I guess they had a big outbreak with the virus, so they couldn't continue shooting. So while Superman and Lois is off the air, Supergirl's going to come in and replace its time slot essentially till it comes back on air in the summertime alongside, I believe, Stargirl. So again, I've said like it's probably going to piss off Superman and Lois fans, but hey, at least recognize for the what the heck, at least acknowledge the fact that the CW actually putting on another show in its stead, instead of forcing these actors to potentially come back to a very dangerous environment. So yeah, other than that, I thought it was a good, solid episode. I very much enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what happens next, because Captain Luthor is going to make his return, and it seems like he's going to be going after the super family, mostly Lois and Clark. We'll see. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your video. Again, if you like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this episode of Superman and Lois, as well as hit that subscribe button to get more Superman and Lois content, as well as any of the other DC TV shows, whether it's Supergirl, The Flash, or Batwoman. Other than that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully I catch you guys on the next video. Till then, guys, stay safe and wear your mask. Peace.